functional groups. The objectives of today's lecture will enable you to understand amines and their nomenclature. We are going to discuss the reactivity and basicity of amines and the chemical reactions and methods of preparation of amines. Let us start with the definition of amines. Organic compounds containing NH2 functional group are called amines. As you can see in these examples, this is the NH2 group which is attached to a R group. CH3CH2 is ethyl. It is an alkyl group which is attached to an NH2 group. So organic compounds containing NH2 as a functional group are called amines. Now students, this amine, this NH2 group can be present at the end of the chain. It can be present as a side chain, or it may be present within the chain. Just like this compound, you can see that the nitrogen is in the center and 3 methyl groups are attached to it. Similarly, in this example, you can see nitrogen is in the center having CH3, 2 CH3 groups directly attached to it. So organic compounds which are containing NH2 as a functional group, either it is at the terminal of the chain, as a branch, or within the chain, these are called amines. Now students, let us try to understand the system of naming. First of all, the common system of naming the amines. The common names of amines are written by adding a suffix amine, means we are going to add amine at the end, to the name of alkyl or aryl radicals. Means we are going to use the name of R group or aryl group as radicals. Look at the first example. This is an R group which is CH3CH2, means ethyl, and having NH2. We are going to use amine as a suffix and ethyl as a radical. So the name is going to be ethyl amine. Look at the second example, which is a secondary hexyl amine. Why it is secondary? Because you can see that this NH2 group is attached to the secondary carbon atom. What is a secondary carbon atom? It is the carbon atom which is attached to a functional group and it is further attached to 2 carbon atoms also. So it is a secondary hexyl amine. In the next example, this is isohexyl amine. You can see this is isohexyl group which is attached to NH2. That is why it is isohexyl, the radical, and after that we have to add suffix amine. Now students, it is also called a primary amine. Why? Because this nitrogen is directly attached to only one carbon atom. That is why it is called a primary amine. Here is an example of secondary amine. Now what is a secondary amine? It is an amine in which this nitrogen is directly attached with 2 carbon atoms. That is why it is a secondary amine. The common name is dimethylamine because 2 methyl groups are directly attached to it. The third example is a tertiary amine. Now what is a tertiary amine? A tertiary amine is that amine in which the nitrogen atom is directly attached with 3 carbon atoms. That is why it is called a tertiary amine, or its common name is trimethylamine. Now students, let us see the common naming of aromatic amines. Benzene ring, when it is attached to NH2, it is called aniline. And students, you know that when methyl group is attached to a benzene ring, it is called toluene. Now if both of these groups, means NH2 and CH3, are present simultaneously on the ring, then the name of this group is called toluidine. A combination of toluene and aniline is called toluidine. Now since in this compound both of these groups are at para position to each other, that is why it is called para-toluidine. If there is some alkyl group substituted on the NH2 group, its name is represented by writing a capital N with the alkyl group. It indicates that the alkyl group is located on the nitrogen atom and not on the ring. If there are two substituents on the nitrogen atom, means both of these hydrogens have been replaced by alkyl group, then this capital N will be repeated twice. Let us look at the examples. Now students, you can see that the methyl group is attached to this nitrogen and not on the benzene ring. So you are going to mention a capital N with the name of the alkyl group. That is why the name is N-methyl aniline. Now why it is called aniline? Because NH2 with benzene ring is called aniline. If we have substituted one hydrogen atom with a methyl group, so it is a derivative of aniline and the name is N-methyl aniline. Similarly, in the other example, we have substituted the second hydrogen with a methyl group. Now the name is N,N-dimethyl aniline. As the rule says that if two substituents are attached to the nitrogen, then this capital N is repeated twice. So the name is N,N-dimethyl aniline. Look at the third example. Now the third methyl group is not attached to the nitrogen, but it is present on the ring. Now students, you know that methyl and NH2 group, when it is present on the ring, the name is toluidine. Now we can see a derivative of toluidine over here, in which these two hydrogen atoms have been replaced by two methyl groups. That is why the name is N,N-dimethyl para-toluidine. Now let us see the IUPAC system of naming amines. In this system, amino group is indicated as a prefix, amino. We are not going to write amine. We are going to use prefix, which is amino, followed by the name of the hydrocarbon. The position of the amino group is indicated by numbers obtained by numbering the chain. Means we have to select the longest possible chain giving minimum number to this functional group. Now students, look at the first example. You can see I have written aminomethane because we have to use amino as a prefix now. It should be written before the name of the hydrocarbon. The hydrocarbon chain in this compound comprises of only one carbon atom. That is why it is methane. So the name of this compound is aminomethane. Now students, you can see now in this example, this NH2 is not at the terminal of the chain, but it is present like a branch. So we have to number this longest chain, giving the lowest possible number to this NH2. So it gets the second carbon atom. The name is 2-amino because the amino is present on second carbon atom. And how many carbon atoms? 4. That is why the hydrocarbon chain is butane. The name is 2-amino butane. Now students, in secondary and tertiary amines, they are named by using compound prefix that includes the name of alkyl group except the largest alkyl group. Now you can see this is methyl amino ethane. This is a secondary amine. Why? Because this nitrogen is directly attached with two carbon atoms. So this is methyl amino ethane. Now students, you have noticed that methyl is written before and ethane is used as a parent chain because of the larger size. That is why it is called methyl amino ethane. In the next example, you can see it is 1-dimethyl amino butane. Why? Because this is carbon number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So my longest chain is butane. Now on carbon number 1, the amino group is attached, which is further attached with two methyl groups. But it is a tertiary amine. Why? Because this nitrogen is directly attached with 3 carbon atoms. Now students, in IUPAC system of naming, we are going to name the alkyl groups which are smaller, and after that amino, and then the longest chain. 1-dimethyl amino. Why have we written 1? Because this amino group is attached to carbon number 1 of the longest chain. So it is 1-dimethyl amino butane. Students, let us practice some other examples of primary, secondary and tertiary amines. The first two are primary amines. This is a primary amine because nitrogen atom is directly attached to only one carbon atom. Similarly, in this example, you can see nitrogen is directly attached to only one carbon atom. Now let us apply the rules and name this compound. We have to select the longest chain, which is pentane 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Now students, we have to locate the position of this amino group, which is at carbon number 2 and carbon number 3. The other two methyl groups are present on carbon number 4. So the name is 2,3-diamino 4,4-dimethyl pentane. Look at the next example. We have to select the longest chain 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Amino group is present on carbon number 3. This methyl is present on carbon number 4. The name is 3-amino 4-methyl pentane. Look at the secondary amine. This nitrogen is directly attached to two carbon atoms, that is why it is a secondary amine. The name is 1-ethyl amino. This is ethyl. This is the amino group. So it is ethyl amino. Why have we written 1? Because this amino group is present on carbon number 1. 1-ethyl amino propane, the longest chain. Look at this example, which is of tertiary amine. Why? Because this nitrogen is directly attached to 3 carbon atoms. The name is 3-dimethyl amino 2-methyl hexane, because this amino is present on carbon number 3 of the longest chain, and on carbon number 2 you can see a methyl group. That is why the name is 3-dimethyl amino 2-methyl